Another alumni talk series with our eminent alumni. Today, we have with us Mr. Vidhyashankar Sriram. Mr. Sriram is Vice President Client Solutions at Crayon Data. He has served Citibank for 15 years in different positions and left the organization as Director, Head of Retail Bank, Data Analytics, Asia and Europe regions. Thank you for joining us today. Vidya, can you share your experience at Citi as a head of retail bank data analytics and about your new shift?
Thank you for the invite. It's really a privilege to come back and talk to as an NITIE alumni. I joined Citi straight out of campus 15 years back. I have been with Citi in multiple locations and I have done multiple roles, not just in data, but also in the business functions. In every possible city in India, as well as I've lived in Singapore and had the opportunity to travel to many markets. And across all of these, what I can say is that financial data analytics is a slightly different ballgame because accuracy and the credibility of data is very important. So the data that comes from a bank has a lot more stricter regulations around it and it has to be more accurate compared to the data that comes out from, say, a Facebook or a YouTube. So data analytics has a different way of approach. And I had the opportunity to work with Citi and transform the way the mobile bank looks at data, the digital journeys that we were trying to transform. So all of this was a very enriching experience. Post which I felt that if I could do this well for one bank, why don't I come out and try it out where I could do it for a lot many more banks. So that's the reason why I've come out and I've joined an AI firm called Crayon Data. And what we do here is we try to keep simplify the choices for customers. So basically what we try to do is that if you have multiple choices in terms of shopping or in terms of your transactions, how do I crunch all of the data and be a lot more simple and straight to the customer, which is contextual to him rather than being all over the place. So that's what we are trying to do. And we try to do it primarily for banks. And given my banking past, I thought this was a right fit for me to transition.
Very interesting story. What, according to you, are some must-have skill sets for students in the current time?
See, there are two parts to it. Obviously, there is a soft and the hard. Let me focus on the hard part, which is digital and data orientation is a must. You can be in whatever space you want. You can be a lawyer, you can be a civil engineer, but the orientation that you should have towards digital journeys and how does a customer interact digitally with you and how the data world explodes because of these digital interactions and how can you exploit that data, that orientation is necessary. So you can be in whichever field you want and you could be doing whatever specialization, but you will become very redundant very quickly if you don't have a digital and data orientation. You don't need to be an expert, but that orientation needs to be there. Like, how does this journey happen digitally, or what kind of data is the customer leaving behind, and how can I use that to be smarter in the way I do my job? It can be even an operations job. So that perspective is very important, along with the fact that your curiosity is a very important ingredient. The world is changing very fast. By nature, if you are not very curious, it gets a little difficult because you start forming mental blocks on what can be done and what cannot be done. So I think these are the big skills that I think are extremely essential.
So, mix of hard and soft skills, curiosity, and data driven. How NITIE helped you in acquiring right skill sets and in your career growth?
See, again, like to start with, NITIE opened me up as a person. The reason being that I come from a fairly closed background in the sense that I did all my schooling in Chennai and then I did my undergrad in Chennai. Pretty much in a very closed cocoon environment, and NITIE opened me up to people across India. It opened me up to the way they are, the way they behave, the way they interact, and what I can learn from them. So that is the first thing that happened that opened me up to the point that, you know what, your perspective is not the only perspective. You need to start to see the other perspectives as well. The second thing is, I think NITIE has the right amount of freedom for you to channelize your energy into an area, and then they encourage you in that area. It is not like, you come with a specific agenda and you're so busy and you're so locked up that you don't have the time or the energy to explore alternate agendas. So like I came with a specific idea into the B school to study, but over the period of time, I could see that there are other areas which were far more interesting, and that's where I want to focus now. At that point of time, if I didn't have the time or the energy, pretty much what I'm doing today would not have been existed. So
Okay.
to give me that perspective and allow me to have the freedom to explore, and more importantly, then allow me to encourage to follow that path, is something which I will be always grateful to the institution for.
Good. Have the industry expectations for student change over time, especially in the banking sector?
Yes, it has. It's like there used to be a time when you had to be quick, smart, get your hands dirty, and get things done, and somehow get things done. The jugaad, the dynamism, that used to be what people used to look for when they came to the institution, and that's what the case with my batch or even the subsequent batches. But today, the world has changed because a lot many more gets done digitally. The more creative and the more thought-led, technology-driven people are what the industry is liking. And that is because the nature of jobs have changed. Like when I joined the bank 15 years back, two of us were in data and 13 of them were in sales. But if I flip it around this way, now about 9 of them are in data, 3 of them are in product, and only about 2 or 3 go into sales. So the perspective with which the entire organization is set up is evolving. Like the number of salespeople has come down by half, and the number of data and digital folks have quadrupled. So
Yeah.
the dynamics of what is happening in industry is changing, and as a consequence, the dynamism of what is expected from an individual who's just coming out of campus is also changing.
Let me wind up our conversation with a lighter question. What were some entertaining and fun moments you cherish of NITIE?
Okay. So, spoiler alert, I used to be an early to bed person, so I might have missed a lot of fun at NITI. But the the things that I always loved at NITI was obviously the coffee, the 96 steps, and I used to be in the debating team. So we used to do a lot of debating contests together in the college, as well as we represented the college elsewhere. So all of this, and I still can't. But the best memory that I always have is the mess and listening to Kishore Kumar songs in the mess. So much so that even today, when I listen to a Kishore Kumar song, the environments of my mess and me having my morning breakfast, or I've just come back after classes for my lunch, kind of just plays out in front of me visually. So I will never forget that part of my life. It was tough at that point of time, but if I look back now, I cherish every bit of it.
Thank you so much for such a lovely conversation. We will be in touch. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.